The giant human starship StarVoyager moved slowly through deep space, its silver body shining like a small moon. For many weeks, the ship had been traveling on a peaceful mission. The crew expected nothing dangerous. But everything changed when they reached a strange and dark area on the map, a place known as a silent rift. Most star charts show this region as empty. No planets, no stars, no signals, only silence. Many old space stories said the rift was dangerous, but the StarVoyager had no choice. Their path required them to cross it. Captain Ardenhale, a calm and experienced leader, stood near the front window, studying the darkness ahead. "It looks dead," he said quietly. Science officer Dr. Lyra Vaughn checked her glowing screens. No readings, no heat, no radio waves. Nothing at all. It's like space itself is missing. Rookie pilot Jax Wren, the youngest on board, leaned forward in his chair. "It's creepy," he whispered. "Like something is watching us from inside the dark." The captain gave him a small smile. "Relax, Jax. It's only empty space." But Jax didn't feel relaxed. The darkness felt too thick, almost alive. The ship moved deeper into the rift, and suddenly, a sound broke the silence. Beep, beep, beep. Everyone turned. Dr. Lyra stared at her monitor, shocked. "Captain, we are receiving a signal." Captain Arden frowned. "A signal? From where?" She shook her head. "I don't know. It just appeared." The crew gathered around her station as the strange signal repeated. It wasn't a normal transmission. It was a broken code, weak and shaking, as if someone was speaking from very far away. The message repeated every 10 seconds. "Help us, they're coming." Jax's eyes widened. "That's a human voice." Dr. Lyra bit her lip. "The signal structure, yes, it is human, but distorted, old, damaged." Captain Arden stood straight. "Try to trace the location." "I'm trying," she replied, fingers moving fast across the controls. "But the rift is blocking the scan. It's like something is hiding the source." The message repeated again. "Help us, they're coming." A cold feeling spread across the room. The captain looked around at his crew. "Do you believe it?" Jax nodded. "Someone needs us." The navigation officer, Rex Dalton, disagreed. "Or someone wants to trap us." Dr. Lyra added, "We should be careful. We know nothing about the rift. This may not be human at all." The debate grew louder, but the captain finally raised his hand. "Silence. We follow standard emergency protocol," he said firmly. "If there is even a chance that human lives are at risk, we must investigate." The crew obeyed. Commands were entered, and the ship turned toward the origin of the message, or at least the direction they believed it came from. The deeper they went, the darker the rift became. The stars behind them slowly disappeared one by one, swallowed by black emptiness. Soon, the StarVoyager looked like a tiny spark floating in a sea of shadows. Jax swallowed hard. "Captain, are we sure this is safe?" "No," the captain answered simply. "But we go forward." Suddenly, the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then everything went dark for 3 long seconds. When the lights returned, alarms echoed through the ship. "Engines offline," Rex shouted. "Something is draining power." "What? From where?" Captain Arden demanded. "I don't know. It's like the ship plugged into a giant power vacuum." Dr. Lyra checked her screens again. "Captain, I think something is interfering with our systems. Something outside. Something big." A low metallic sound echoed through the hull. Clang. Then another. Clang. Clang. It felt as if something had attached itself to the ship. Jax gripped his seat. "What was that? Did we hit something?" "No," Rex said. He looked pale. "Something hit us." Before the captain could respond, the message played again, louder this time, as if the voice was screaming. "Help US. They are here." The crew froze. Dr. Lyra whispered, "Captain, the signal changed its source." "How?" "It is coming from our own hull." Everyone stared at her in horror. "What do you mean?" Jax asked, his voice shaking. "The signal, it is being transmitted from whatever is attached to our ship," she explained. The ship shook again, stronger this time. The power lights dipped to red. Emergency sirens wailed. Captain Arden made a decision. Activate full external scan. I want to know what's out there. I can't, Dr. Lyra said. All sensors are failing. It's like something is jamming everything. The engine lights flickered once more, and then, boom, a shock wave hit the StarVoyager, throwing everyone off balance. Captain, Rex shouted, we're being pulled forward by an unknown force. The ship's nose tilted sharply as something invisible dragged it deeper into the rift. The darkness outside the window grew thicker, swirling like black fog. Strange shapes moved inside it. Shapes with long arms and glowing eyes. Jack screamed, something is out there. The captain grabbed the controls. Everyone hold on. We're not alone. The ship continued to be pulled toward a massive shadow. Then the voice repeated one last time, now crystal clear. You should not have come. The lights went out. When the giant finally returned inside the StarVoyager, slowly through they glowed space. Weak and shaky. Its silver like body candles fighting like against a small moon. Red alarms still flashed across the control panels. Had been traveling and the crew struggled to stand up after the crew expected nothing dangerous. They dragged their ship deeper. But everything changed when they reached a strange and dark area on the map. First to regain his balance. A place known as a status report. He demanded. Most star charts showed this region as empty. The navigation officer, no planets, tried to steady his voice. No signals, still offline. Only silence. I can't restart it. Many old space stories said the power is being stolen. But the StarVoyager had no choice. Screens. Their path were no longer moving. It. Captain Arden hailed. Whatever pulled a calm and experienced leader. Jax ran stood near the front window, stared out the large front window. It looks dead, he said quietly. Captain Science Officer Dr. Lyra Vaughn checked the glowing screens. Floating ahead of them was reading. Massive, no heat, ship, no rusted, radio waves, broken. Nothing its metal body torn like space itself is missing. Parts of the ship rookie pilot Jax ran like frozen youngest bones. On board. Its name still glowed faintly on the side, creepy, covered in dust and scars. Like something is watching us inside the dark. Dr. Lyra gasped. The captain gave him a small smile. Disappeared 100 years ago. It's only empty space. But how is it still here? Relaxed. The rift remained darkness silent. Felt too thick, but the ghost ship looked as if it had been waiting. The ship moved deeper into Captain the rift, Arden and spoke slowly. A sound broke the silence. Rex's eyes widened. Beep. Captain, with respect, everyone turned. That is a terrible idea. Dr. Lyra stared at the monitor. The signal came from our hull after something attached to us. We are receiving a signal. Arden replied. Captain Arden frowned. Whatever's happening. A signal? This ship might hold answers. She shook her head heavily. I don't know. More danger. It just appeared. The captain looked at his crew gathered around her station the boarding as the strange signal repeated. The ghost inside. It wasn't a normal transmission. The airlock was a broken code. Weak and shaky, connected the two ships, as if someone was speaking from very far away, making the message feel like entering every 10 seconds. Arden, Dr. Lyra, Jax, and Jax's eyes wide stepped inside. That's a human voice. The moment they entered, Dr. Lyra bit her lip. Echoed hollowly. The signal structure as if the ship was empty, not just it is human, but of life. Distorted. The hallways were dark, scratched, and looked burned. Captain Arden every window was cracked. Try to trace every pipe was damaged. I'm trying. Frozen dust floated in the air. Fingers feels like no one has stepped here for a century, but the rift is blocking the scan. Suddenly, it's like something is hiding behind them slammed shut. The message repeated again. It's just pressure change. A cold feeling spread across the room, though her voice trembled. The captain looked around at his crew, moved deeper into the ship. You believe it? Strange shadows dance across the walls. Someone needs us, but no one was walking. The navigation officer, as they reached the main control room, disagreed. They found something terrifying. Deep scratches covered the walls. We should be careful. As if someone had used their bare hands to claw for escape. This may not be human at all. Ran her fingers. The debate grew louder, but the captain finally raised his hand. Jack swallowed hard. We follow standard emergency protocol. Before anyone could answer, if there is even a chance that human lives are at risk, we must investigate. The entire control room command entered. Arden raised his weapon. Turned toward the origin of the message, or at least a direction, but someone or something came from. The deeper they went, ship, the darker screens around them flickered to life. The stars behind them slowly disappeared one by one. A single video swallowed by black impeded on the main screen. The StarVoyager looked like a tiny spark floating in a sea of shadows. A frightened man, Jax in a torn uniform, looked into the camera. Are we sure this is safe? If you find this, stay away from the dark. The captain don't trust the light. They live between both. Suddenly, video cut. The lights flickered. The room fell silent. Jax's voice cracked. Then everything went dark for 3 long seconds. Dr. Lyra moved to the corner. The lights returned, and alarms echoed through the ship. Captain, engines offline. Rex shouted. The crew gathered around Something is draining power. On the metal wall. What? Scratched by hand. Where? Were four shaking words. Arden demanded. They took the sun. I don't know. It's Arden like the ship plugged into a giant power vacuum. What does that even mean? Dr. Lyra Before anyone could think again, a loud metal bang echoed I think from the something outside. Is interfering with our systems. Then something another. Outside. Clang. Something big. Clang. The same metallic sound on their echoed through the hull. Clang. Then another. Ordered. Clang. Jack stood behind the console. It felt as if something had attached itself to the ship. The hallway remained dark. What was that? Without warning, we hit something? The old speakers on the horizon crackled to life. He looked pale. A broken something hit us. Half metal before voice the captain could respond. The message played again. Louder this time. Security officers stepped back. The voice was screaming. Guns raised. Help U.S. Captain, they are human. The crew Dr. Lyra checked her scanner. Dr. Lyra whispered, I'm reading movement, Captain, but not living signal movement. Changed its source. More like energy shifted. How? The lights in the hallway coming from our own hull. Almost everyone like they were stared at her in horror. Then the ship, what do you mean? Shook. Jack's asked his metallic screech echoed across the walls as it is being transmitted from whatever's outside the horizon. Scraping, the pulling ship itself shook again, dragging. Stronger Jax whispered, Captain, power lights dipped to red. I think whatever attacked the emergency sirens wailed. Arden nodded slowly. Arden made a decision. We've seen enough. Activate full external Everyone, back to I want to know what's out there. But as I turned to leave, Dr. The airlock behind them shut All completely. Sensors are failing. The ship spoke again. Something is jamming. That same broken voice. The engine lights flickered once more. The lights turned blood red. Boom! Something shockwave shadows the StarVoyager, not walking. Everyone off balance. Fast. Captain, coming straight, shouted. Captain We're being Arden pulled shouted, forward by an unknown force. The crew sprinted down the hallway tilted sharply as something violently dragged it deeper into the red flickering light. The darkness outside Jack the window saw a silhouette, thicker, tall, swirling thin, like black fog, with long arms that strange shapes moved inside, eyes glowing like tiny stars, long arms and glowing eyes. It screeched. Jack screamed. The horizon something is out there, and the StarVoyager crew understood. They were not alone in this ancient graveyard. The ship continued to be pulled toward a massive shadow. Then the voice repeated one last time, now crystal clear. You should not have come. The lights went out, and StarVoyager was swallowed by the dark. The crew of the StarVoyager ran through the dark hallway of the horizon, the dead ship shaking behind them like a waking beast. Red lights flashed wildly. The metal floor vibrated under their boots. Behind them, something crawled. Something fast. Something angry. Jack's Wren could hear its claws scraping the metal. Sharp, long, hungry. His heart pounded so loud he could barely hear Captain Arden shouting orders. Stay together. Do not stop. The airlock door was ahead, the only way back to the StarVoyager. But when the crew reached it, the door remained tightly sealed. Rex pressed a panel. It's locked from the other side. Override it, Arden ordered. I'm trying. Before Rex could finish, the ship's speakers crackled again. You cannot leave. The voice was not human, not machine. It was a mix of both, like a ghost speaking through broken wires. Jax looked back. In the flickering red light, the creature finally showed its shape. It was tall, thin, almost skeletal, with long arms that touched the floor and a body made of shifting shadow. Two bright eyes glowed like frozen stars. The creature tilted its head slowly, like it was studying them. Then it smiled. A horrible, too wide smile. Jax took a step back. Captain, it's watching us. Rex, open that door. Captain Arden demanded. I can't. The horizon is controlling the lock. Dr. Lyra moved quickly to a panel on the wall. Let me try. The creature moves. The creature suddenly screeched. A sharp, painful metallic cry that echoed to the entire hallway. Then it moved. Fast. So fast that the lights blurred around it. Open it now. Arden shouted. Dr. Lyra connected her scan tool to the panel. Sparks shot out. It's fighting me. This ship has an active intelligence. Jack shouted, Captain, it's coming. The creature crawled on the walls like a spider, its long fingers digging into the metal. Sparks flew where its claws touched. Its glowing eyes never blinked. Lyra! Arden yelled. I'm almost got it. The airlock slid open. Inside! Hurry! The crew rushed into the connecting bridge. But before the door closed, the creature slammed its claws into the opening, forcing it apart. Metal bent under its strength. Jack screamed, "Close it! Close it!" Arden fired his weapon at the creature. The energy blast hit, but the creature absorbed it like smoke. Dr. Lyra grabbed the emergency lever and pulled it with all her strength. The airlock door crushed down on the creature's arm. It shrieked. The door finally sealed, severing part of the creature's shadowy arm. The dark limb fell to the floor like melting ink. The crew didn't wait. They ran back into the StarVoyager as alarms blared across their own ship. The virus in the system. Inside the StarVoyager, everything was chaos. Lights flickered. Screens flashed strange symbols that no one recognized. Doors opened and shut on their own. The entire ship felt sick, like something poisonous had invaded it. "Bridge. Now!" Captain Arden ordered. The crew ran. When they reached the bridge, they found the ship's AI screen glowing bright red. The AI's usual calm voice was replaced by a distorted whisper. "You brought it here." Arden shouted. "What is happening?" The AI responded, glitching. "Unknown entity inside system spreading." Dr. Lyra stared in horror. "Captain, the creature didn't just attack us physically. It infected our ship. Whatever intelligence controls the horizon jumped into our systems." Rex checked the console, sweating. "Power is dropping fast. The engines won't restart. Life support is failing too." The AI whispered again. "They took the horizon, now they take you." Jack stepped forward, trembling. "Captain, we should leave this area. The rift is not empty. It's alive." Arden took a deep breath. "We can't escape without engines." The lights flickered. Then a deep rumbling sound echoed from the lower deck. Rex checked sensors. "Something is moving inside our ship. Something big. Can you identify it?" Arden asked. Rex stared at the screen. "No, sensors won't read it. It's beyond technology." The crew froze. A loud metallic crash came from below. Then another. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps. Something was climbing inside the StarVoyager. Arden raised his voice, steady and strong. "Everyone arm up. We're taking back our ship." Jack swallowed. "Captain, what if it's like the thing on the horizon?" Arden looked at him. "Then we don't let it get close." Dr. Lyra suddenly shouted, "Captain, look!" She pointed at the main screen. A message appeared, written in huge white letters. "Do not use the light." Jax frowned. "What? But they're creatures of darkness. Shouldn't light hurt them?" Dr. Lyra shook her head. "No." The man in the horizon video said, "Don't trust the light. Something is wrong here." The AI flickered again. "They hide in light. They hunt in dark. They feed in both." Then the ship suddenly went completely silent. No alarms. No lights. No sound. Only breathing. Captain Arden whispered, "Everyone stay still." Down the hallway, something crawled. Slow. Heavy. Wet. Getting closer. Jax gripped his weapon, shaking. "Captain, it's inside, right outside this door." The crew stood frozen. The door lights flickered. And then the door began to open, very slowly, very quietly, as if something on the other side was waiting, watching, smiling. The StarVoyager had awakened its enemy. The door to the bridge slowly slid open, a thin line of darkness cutting across the floor. The crew held their breath as cold air seeped inside, carrying a strange smell, like burnt metal mixed with something sweet and rotten. Captain Arden raised his weapon, ready to fire. The others followed, silent and tense. But nothing entered. No creature. No shadow. No movement. Only darkness. The lights inside the bridge flickered weakly, as if they were afraid to shine. Dr. Lyra stepped forward carefully. "Captain, something is wrong." The creature was coming toward us. "So why did it stop?" Arden didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on the doorway. Jax moved closer to Captain. His hand shook, but he tried to hide it. "Sir, it's playing with us." Rex Dalton, watching his screen, swallowed hard. "Power is still dropping. Whatever infected our systems is spreading faster. We're losing more decks." Then a sound. A whisper. Very soft. Very close. We see you. Jack spun around. Captain, that came from inside the ship. Dr. Lyra's scanner beeped rapidly. She checked it and froze. Captain, I'm detecting multiple moving signals. From where? She pointed to the wall. Inside the walls. The shadows revealed themselves. Suddenly, the lights brightened for half a second, and in that flash, the crew saw them. Silhouettes. Tall, thin figures pressed against the other side of the glass wall. Their long fingers tapped the window gently. Tap, tap, tap. Then darkness returned. Rex stepped back. Captain, how many are there? Dr. Lyra whispered. Too many. Before they could react, the ship shook violently. Boom! As if something massive had landed on the outer hull. Then another impact. And another. The crew held onto the consoles as the StarVoyager trembled. Arden steadied himself. Everyone listen. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Dr. Lyra, do you have any idea what these creatures are? She nodded slowly, eyes full of fear. I studied their energy patterns when we were on the horizon. They are not fully physical. They shift between shadow and matter. That's why sensors struggle to read them. Rex asked, what do they want? Dr. Lyra replied, not our ship, not our technology. Jax looked confused. Then what? Dr. Lyra turned pale. Us. The history of the Voidborn. The AI flickered alive again, glitching and buzzing. Voidborn ancient, hungry. They feed on life, on fear, on memory. Arden narrowed his eyes. Memory? The AI continued, voice breaking. They consume what makes you human. They erase until nothing is left. Jax whispered, Captain, that's why the Horizon crew left scratches on the walls. They weren't trying to escape the creature. Dr. Lyra finished his sentence. They were trying to remember who they were. Everyone fell silent. The lights flickered again. Arden gave an order. We moved to Deck 5. Engineering. If they're inside our systems, we need to cut the infected parts and restart the core manually. Rex hesitated. Captain, Deck 5 is where the movement started. Arden's expression hardened. Right now, it's our only chance. Deck 5, engineering. The crew left the bridge with weapons raised. The hallways were darker now. The walls sweated a thin black liquid, like the ship itself was bleeding. As they moved deeper, whispers surrounded them. Soft voices. Hundreds of them. Come back. Stay with us. We need your light. Jax covered his ears. Captain, make it stop. But the voices grew louder. When they reached Deck 5, the door was open, bent inward, as if something strong had pushed through. Inside the engineering bay, two things were clear. The main power core was nearly offline. Something had been here recently. Tools lay scattered on the ground. Deep claw marks covered the floor. Black dust floated in the air like ashes. Rex checked the controls. Captain, the core can still be restarted, but we need someone to go inside the maintenance shaft. Everyone turned to look at the shaft, a narrow tunnel leading into darkness. Jack stepped back. No way. That's where they are. Arden nodded, which is why we need someone fast and calm. He looked at Jax. The young pilot shook his head. Captain, please choose someone else. You're the smallest, Arden said gently. You can move faster in the tunnel than the rest of us. Jax's breathing quickened. What if something is inside with me? Arden placed a hand on his shoulder. Then you crawl faster. Reluctantly, Jax climbed into the shaft. The tunnel. Inside the narrow tunnel, the darkness felt alive. Jax moved slowly, hand shaking. Every small sound echoed. The drip of liquid, the hum of broken wires, his own heartbeat. Halfway in, he heard a noise behind him, a soft scrape. Then another. Captain! Jax whispered through the comm, something is in here. Arden's voice came through, firm but calm. Keep moving, Jax. You're almost there. Jax crawled faster. But then the tunnel lights flickered, and a shadow moved in front of him. Long fingers appeared, touching the metal, then a face formed out of darkness. Two glowing eyes. A smile too wide for any human. Hello, little star, it whispered. Jack screamed and kicked backward. The creature lunged. The awakening. On the engineering deck, alarms roared as the shadows around the crew began to rise, forming into tall, thin creatures. Dr. Lyra whispered, "Captain, they're fully awake now." The creatures stepped forward in the dim red light, eyes glowing, smiling, reaching. One spoke in a low, broken voice. "You entered our rift, now you belong to us." The StarVoyager crew braced themselves. The Voidborn had arrived, and they were hungry. Jack's Wren kicked backward to the narrow maintenance tunnel, his boots hitting the metal walls as the creature crawled toward him. Its long shadow fingers scraped the floor, bending unnaturally, reaching for his legs. "Captain, it's inside with me." Jax shouted, voice shaking with pure fear. Captain Arden's voice came through the comm. "Jax, listen to me. Do not stop moving. You're close to the core regulator." The creature laughed softly. A cold, twisted laugh. "Run, little human, run." Jax's breath broke into sharp gasps. He crawled faster, elbows cutting against the metal edges. Behind him, the creature moved like liquid darkness, silent one moment, scratching the next. Then the tunnel lights failed. Total darkness. Jax froze. A whisper brushed past his ear. "Your fear is warm." Jax screamed and slammed his hand against the emergency light on his wrist. A small white beam flashed. The creature recoiled, not in pain, but in anger. Its face twisted into a monstrous shape. The eyes turned from white to pure black. Its body thickened, becoming more solid. Jax realized something horrible. Light didn't hurt them. Light made them stronger, more real, more physical. "Captain, the light makes them solid." Arda replied instantly. "Then stay in the dark, get to the regulator, and shut it down manually." Jax switched off his wrist light. Darkness swallowed him again, but the creature's glowing eyes returned, closer than before. The engineering deck, light net. While Jax crawled through the tunnels, Captain Arden and the others faced a different nightmare. The engineering deck filled with Voidborn. 10, 15 more forming from the shadows. Their long arms stretched across the floor. Their bodies twitched and changed shape, like living smoke trying to become human. Arden stepped forward. "Stay in formation." Rex whispered, "Captain, we can't fight these things." "We don't fight," Arden said. "We outthink them." Dr. Lyra connected her scanner to the emergency control panel. "Captain, I have an idea. These creatures shift between shadow and matter. What if we trap them mid-shift?" "Explain." "If we create a web of random flashing lights around us," she said quickly, "their bodies won't know whether to stay shadow or solid. They will freeze." Rex blinked. Light net?" Dr. Lyra nodded. "Yes, but it must be unpredictable. Completely random. They won't be able to stabilize." Arda made a decision instantly. "Do it." Lyra began rerouting wires. Sparks flying. "I need 30 seconds. The Voidborn stepped closer. 25 seconds. Their claws scraped the floor. 20 seconds. They crawled over each other, forming tall, spindly towers. 15 seconds. They smiled. Their teeth were too many, too sharp. 10 seconds. Jax's scream echoed from the tunnel. Arden's heart clenched, but he didn't move. If the light net wasn't ready, they all would die. 5 seconds. The Voidborn raised their arms to strike. "Now, Lyra!" Arden shouted. She hit the switch. The light net activates. The engineering bay exploded with flashing lights. White, blue, red, blinking in random patterns across the ceiling, walls, and floor. The Voidborn froze instantly. Their bodies twitched, bent, broke apart, reformed, and twisted again. They flickered like glitching images. Some screamed. Some split into smoke. Some grew extra limbs out of panic. Rex laughed, half mad. "It's working. They can't stabilize." The moment of victory lasted only 5 seconds. Then, the largest Voidborn in the room roared. A deep, earth-shaking roar that cracked the floor. It grew taller, rising until its head touched the ceiling. Its body became fully solid, rejecting the light net. Dr. Lyra gasped. "Captain, it's adapting." It crushed the floor with one massive fist. Boom! The entire deck shook. Several crew members fell. Fall back, Arden shouted. But the giant void-born stepped forward, its body glowing like molten metal. It wasn't afraid of the light. It was born from the rift darkness, but evolved in the light. Jax reaches the core regulator. Inside the tunnel, Jax finally reached the regulator door. His hands shook as he turned the wheel. Behind him, the creature whispered, "The light grows. Our king wakes." Jax didn't look back. He opened the panel, reached inside, and pulled the emergency lever. The core sparked, struggling to reboot. "Captain!" Jax shouted, "Restarting now." But the creature lunged. Its cold hand grabbed Jax's ankle, pulling him backward through the tunnel. Jax screamed, his nails dragging across the metal. "Jax!" Arden shouted through the comm. Jax fought wildly, kicking, twisting, finally breaking free. He slammed his foot into the creature's head. The creature hissed and vanished into smoke. Jax didn't think. He hit the final switch. The core surges. The power core burst alive with a deep rumble. Lights across the entire ship brightened. The alarm screamed across the StarVoyager. Red lights flashed across the damaged hulls. Sparks fell like hot rain. The metal walls shook again and again as something massive slammed into the ship from the outside. Something with claws big enough to crush steel. Captain Arden braced himself against the railing. Damage report. Rex checked the console. His voice cracked. "Captain, the sensors show more Voidborn emerging from the rift. Not dozens. Not hundreds." He swallowed hard. "Thousands." A cold silence dropped over the bridge. Even the air felt scared. Dr. Lyra looked at the screen. A swirling black storm filled the view, almost beautiful, but growing wider, like a mouth opening to swallow everything. "Ray," the pilot whispered, We can't win against that." Arden didn't answer. His eyes stayed focused, but a shadow of fear crossed his face. The Voidborn King moves. Deep inside the engineering deck, the Voidborn King took a single step forward. The metal floor bent under its weight. Its body was massive, part shadow, part armor, part nightmare. Smoke curled around its claws. Its crown of darkness flickered like living fire. Its voice boomed through the ship. "This world of metal ends tonight." Arden's calm crackled. Dr. Lyra sounded breathless. "Captain, the king is heading for the core room. If it destroys the power core, we all die." Arden answered, "Everyone in defensive positions. We hold that room with our lives." Jax is still alive. Jax ran, bruised and barely conscious, dragged himself out of the maintenance tunnel. His arms trembled. His face bled from cuts. But he was alive. He heard footsteps, human ones. Turning the corner, he saw Arden rushing down the hall with a team of guards. "Jax!" Arden shouted. "You're alive." Jax tried to stand straight. "Sir, you're going to need me." Arden put a firm hand on his shoulder. "Then stay close. This ends at the core." Jax nodded, even though his legs shook. The walk to the core. The entire ship groaned like it was dying. The crew ran through the corridor toward the core chamber. The lights flickered. Shadows trembled on the walls like they were breathing. Rex muttered, "Feels like the ship is haunted." Arden replied, "It is, by the rift." But Jax heard something else. A low chant. Soft, echoing, impossible to locate. Like 100 faint voices whispering. "He rises. He rises." Jax shivered. They're calling to him. "The king," Lyra said quietly. "If he reaches the core, he'll open the rift completely. Then space itself becomes their world." Arden spoke with steel in his tone. "Then we stop him, no matter the cost." The core chamber. Final defense. The door slid open with a harsh metal scream. The core chamber was a giant circular room with a glowing blue sphere floating in the center, pulsing like a heartbeat. But the chamber was already infested. Voidborn crawled along the ceiling. Some clung to the support beams. Others twisted around the pipes, bodies bending in wrong directions. As the team stepped inside, every Voidborn turned its head slowly toward them. Their eyes glowed. Rex whispered. Oh, come on. Arden raised his weapon. Hold the line. Then the void-born king appeared. It stepped through the wall of shadows like walking through water. Its massive horn scraped the ceiling. The room trembled. The king pointed at the core. Open the rift. The smaller void-born screamed and charged. Arden yelled, Fire! Fire! Blaster shots filled the air. Explosions lit the dark chamber. Shadow bodies shattered, reformed, lunge again. Ray threw grenade. Lyra overloaded a side console to create an electric burst. Jax grabbed a fallen guard's rifle and fired until his hands burned. But the Void-born kept coming. Every time one fell, another crawled out of the shadows. The king enters the battle. The king moved forward. One slow, heavy step. Every Void-born froze in fear and backed away from him. Arden fired a full-power shot at the king's chest. The beam hit. The king didn't even flinch. Instead, it leaned its massive head down to Arden. Human captain, your bravery tastes sweet. Arden's face went pale, but he didn't step back. Jack shouted, HFY, over here. He fired at the king's eyes. The king turned its head toward Jax. Not angry, almost amused. Ah, the one who survived my touch. It raised its enormous claw to crush him. Arden tackled Jax out of the way just as the claw smashed into floor. Crack! Metal broke like glass. Jax gasped. Thank you, Captain. Don't thank me yet, Arden said. The king raised its claw again. But Dr. Lyra suddenly shouted, Captain, I found something. Everyone turned. Lyra stood at a console with a glowing red screen. We can overload the core, 'cause a blast from inside. A shock wave strong enough to push back the rift. It might seal it. Arden's eyes widened. And the downside? Lyra's voice broke. It will destroy the ship. Everyone on it. A cold silence spread. Rex whispered, So, with a sacrifice? Arden didn't blink. We're humanity's shield. We always were. The Void-born king roared, furious at the delay. The ceiling cracked. More Void-born fell into the room. Time was gone. Arden pointed at the console. Do it, Lyra. She hesitated, then slammed her hand on the control. The core began to glow brighter. The room vibrated. A countdown appeared. 60 seconds. Jack shouted over the noise, Captain, the blast, how big? Arden answered, big enough to say. The core chamber shook like a volcano, ready to explode. The glowing blue sphere at the center of the room pulsed faster, brighter, stronger. Every beat shook the walls. The countdown on the console flashed. 0:57, 0:56, 0:55. Dr. Lyra's hands trembled as she held down the override lever. Sparks flew around her, and heat washed across her face. We can't delay anymore. The overload has started. Captain Arden lifted his weapon and stepped in front of her. Then we hold the line until it's done. The Void-born king roared, a sound so deep it vibrated in their bones. It was angry, desperate, furious that its victory was slipping away. Shadows swirled around its body like a living hurricane. The smaller Void-born creatures lunged the crew again, but this time they didn't move like normal. They moved with a kind of wild panic, like animals sensing the approaching death of their master. Rex shouted as he shot down two creatures. Why are they faster now? Lyra answered, voice shaking, because when the king dies, they all die. The king raised both clawed arms, and the entire room bent inward as if space itself curled around him. Jax felt the floor tilt. Captain, the gravity is changing. Arden planted his feet, refusing to fall. The king is pulling power from the rift. He wants to stay alive. The king's eyes burned brighter. Two stars made of pure evil. You will fall. The final fight. The king charged. The crew scattered. Metal shook. Pipes exploded. The core's blue glow spread across the room, turning shadows into flickering ghosts. Arden rolled aside just before the king's claw smashed down where he stood. Jax fired at his legs. Nothing. Ray threw another grenade. Barely slowed it. The king backhanded a guard across the room. The man hit the wall and didn't move again. Rex yelled, "We can't hold him. He's too strong." Arden shouted back, "We just need to survive the countdown." The counter flashed. 039, 038. But the king wasn't aiming at the crew anymore. It turned toward the glowing core. Dr. Lyra screamed, "And oh!" The king raised both arms, ready to smash the sphere. Arden shouted, "JX, now!" Without thinking, Jack sprinted toward the king. His legs burned. His lungs begged for air. But something deeper pushed him. A fire he didn't know he had. He grabbed a fallen metal beam from the wreckage and leapt, swinging with all his strength. The metal slammed into the king's face. The king roared. Arden fired. Ray fired. Rex threw his last charge. Smoke filled the air. The king stepped back. For the first time, it stumbled. Arden yelled, "You hurt him, Jax. You actually hurt him." But the victory lasted only a second. The king straightened slowly, eyes boiling with rage. "You dare touch your king." It grabbed Jax by the throat. Jax gasped, feet kicking in the air. Arden fired again and again. "Put him down." The king squeezed. The shadows tightened around Jax's neck. Jax's vision blurred. His body grew weak. This was the end. But then, a mechanical arm shot out from the side of the room, grabbing the king's wrist. The king froze. Everyone stared. It was Cora, the android, one arm broken, one eye flickering, but still fighting. Her voice echoed, glitching but determined. "You will not harm my crew." She twisted her metal arm. The king screamed and let Jax go. Jax fell to the floor, coughing, struggling to breathe. Arden shouted, "Good timing, Cora." Cora's voice cracked. All part of duty. The countdown flashed. 021, 020. The king makes a choice. The void-born king stepped back, shadows swirling violently around him like angry winds. He looked between the glowing core and the crew. He understood. If the core exploded, his empire would fall. His creatures would vanish. The rift would collapse. For the first time, the king looked afraid. "I will not die." He threw himself toward the core. Arden leapt forward and grabbed the king's leg. "Cora, help me." Cora grabbed the other leg. Rex and Ray fired nonstop. Jax forced himself to stand. His vision still blurred, but he raised his weapon and fired into the king's chest. The king screamed, a sound like breaking stars. "Hold him," Arden ordered. "Don't let him move." The king dragged Alden across the floor, inch by inch, closer to the core. The countdown hit. 011, 010. Lyra shouted, "Captain, if he touches the core during explosion, the blast might fail." Arden's voice roared across the chamber. "Then we stop him. Right here." The king raised both arms, and Arden saw it. A moment, a tiny opening. Arden grabbed the emergency release switch at the console. "Jax, Ray, Rex, fall back now." They obeyed. Arden slammed the switch. A transparent containment shield shot up around the core. But the king was inside with Arden. Dr. Lyra screamed, "Captain, no." Arden locked eyes with her. His voice was calm. "It's okay, Lyra." The king turned toward him. "You choose death." Arden stood tall. "For my crew, for my people, for the universe." The countdown flashed. 003, 002. Arden whispered, "Tell them we fought to the end." 001. Midnight. The light. The core exploded. A blinding wave of blue-white